Yo, so guys, welcome back to another video. This is another video reaction, and this one is something a bit different, I guess. The video title was Things You Should Never Do in Other Countries, and I don't know, the video title just seemed quite interesting to me. It seemed like something that could be a fun little reaction to do, and that some of you may enjoy seeing, and some of you may have seen this video already, but yeah, things you should never do in other countries. I don't know if this is going to be like laws in other countries, or just sort of cultures in other countries. I don't know, but we're going to see this one. It's sort of like how in the US it's normal to sort of tip people, actually it's sort of expected, but then in like European countries or other countries it seems like disrespectful. So it's just this things like that, I guess, will sort of show the differences between other countries, right? But I don't know, let's just get into this and see what this is about. Quick shout out to my Instagram and my Twitter, links in the description for that. Same for my Patreon, I've made it recently. The support in it has been crazy. We're near at 80 people at this point. Near 80, 90 people I think from when I last checked, which is ridiculous, but yeah, if you guys are interested in that, links in the description for that. But let's get into this one. Let's check this out and see what this video has to offer.
Traveling opens up your worldview, but different cultures around the world are so varied that just doing your thing in foreign countries may get you into a world of difficulty. Let's take a look at 20 surprising things you should never do in other countries.
Also, I don't know if this video is 100% factual. I assume that some of these are probably a bit like exaggerated, but I don't know, maybe some of these are actually true.
Number 20. Don't step on money in Thailand. In Thailand, it's illegal to step on money. It's because of one man on every note, the king. The law states anything
Step on money?
considered demeaning to the royal family can be an offense.
I mean, to be fair, it's the same in the UK. I mean, it's different, but you can't rip the £20 notes or the notes that we have, but that's a bit different. Stepping on it. What if you accidentally step on it? What if you drop your money and you accidentally step on it? What happens then? It's like someone sees you do it.
If you drop your bot at the market, you won't be able to stand on it to stop it from blowing away. The Thai government also has a lot of power. During a recent military coup, the three-finger Hunger Games salute became popular with protesters. In the end, they made the gesture illegal, and 5 people were even arrested for doing it. There are lots more customs you should follow should you visit Thailand. For one, it's never good to shout or make a scene in Southeast Asia. You should also avoid putting up your feet.
I think if you go into any country that you're not from, it's probably the best just to not shout and make a scene, to be fair. That's probably not just Asian countries. That's probably just any country around the world that you're going to visit.
Because, according to Buddhist beliefs, feet are the dirtiest parts of the body, and it's very offensive to point them at someone. Also, think of the smell.
What the fuck?
Ugh. Number 19. Don't use your left hand in India. You never think about what hand you use for what, but in India, you need to. Never pass money, food, or shake with your left hand. Your left hand is used for all things bathroom related.
Oh wow! Wait, so I'm guessing not everyone does this in India, but is it like a cultural thing for like the majority of the people who live there they can't use both hands? Like I don't need to say my hand, do I? Now I think about it, I don't even know. But surely you would just forget one time. I mean, I guess if you're brought up around it, you're used to it. But surely there's sometimes that they'll end up using the wrong hand. Or like, what if they break one of their hands? Like, what do they do then?
So it's very easy to see where this comes from. In India, you should also get ready for another custom, queue jumping. As queues are a Western construct, it's jump or be jumped in the wildly long lines of India. Number 18,
I respect it.
Don't order white coffee after breakfast in Italy. Italians are known for coffee, and they have many rules about it. It's poor form to order a white coffee, such as a cappuccino, after breakfast. This comes not from the sweetness of the drink, but from the milk. According to Italians, milk should never be drunk after a meal, as it is said to ruin your digestion, so you should only have it at breakfast. If you're a beachgoer, you should also beware. In Heraclea, near Venice, it's illegal to build sandcastles. According to the local government, they obstruct the passage of the beach and sand dunes for other people. Talk about the fun police.
What?
And here's a weird one. In Torino, readjusting your crotch in public is an offense. Even though touching that part of your body is traditionally associated with good luck, courts are beginning to rule that it goes against common decency. We're not talking about 1 or 2 gestures, but a lot of crotch pawing. In fact, one man was convicted in 2006 for ostentatiously touching his genitals through his clothing. Keep your hands where we can see them.
That's
Number
kind of
17,
maybe there's
no
some stars, but that
high
makes
heels in
sense,
Greece.
to be honest.
High-heeled shoes have been banned at Greece's oldest monuments due to
What?
damage caused by tourists.
Actually, that's a fair one.
Leave them at home. Besides, don't you want to be comfy when you're walking over the old rocks?
Yeah. Why are you gonna wear high heels when you're like looking for like monuments and all this kind of stuff?
Greeks also have an intolerance to mooning, the practice of baring your naked ass in public as well. And if you insist on this asinine behavior, you could end up with a hefty fine. So, mooning on the Acropolis while wearing stilettos? You've got yourself a double whammy. Or at least a very interesting photo shoot. Number 16. Don't tip in Japan. This
Okay,
next
there we
one
go.
might be hard to get your head around, but you shouldn't tip in Japan. The service may be exceptional, but Japanese people consider this standard to be typical, so offering a gratuity is not necessary. Okay, you won't necessarily offend someone's sensibilities if you tip, but you should definitely avoid pointing. It's rude to point at someone in Japan, as this is a gesture that is usually directed towards objects rather than people. And
wow.
while on the subject of Japan, although it's not illegal to engage in PDA on the streets, it is a faux pas to kiss amorously in public or hug for too long. So save those long goodbye kisses for the hotel room. Number 15. Watch your hand gestures in Turkey. Often, hand gestures are a great way of bridging the language barrier. But just like all language, sometimes they can get mistranslated. In Turkey, you should not give the OK sign. To do so implies you think the
That
other
means
person
okay.
is a
I didn't
homosexual.
know that.
But you should also watch where you drink your liquor. It has been made illegal to drink or be drunk in public in the province of Burdur. Even sitting in a car with alcohol can get you a 100 lira fine.
Oh man.
If that wasn't enough, you should never use a toothpick without covering your mouth. And you should avoid blowing your nose in public, as both of these are considered very impolite.
Oh, I mean, nowadays, if you blow your nose in public, everyone's going to think you got COVID, so I try and avoid that anyway nowadays, so that kind of relates to the current day, probably every country in the world, but not a toothpick, what the hell?
Try dabbing at it instead. Number 14. You can't buy chewing gum in Singapore.
What?
Despite what's claimed, it's not illegal to chew chewing gum in Singapore, even after a 1992 law passed, which was designed to counter the amount of chewing gum being dropped in public places.
Oh.
The treat was not altogether outlawed. Instead, buying and selling it is illegal, and punishable with a fine of up to $1,000. The Control of Manufacture Act still allows tourists to bring 2 packs into the country, so you'd better make it count. But if you're looking for another foodstuff to enjoy when in Singapore, you should know that you're also not allowed to take the pungent tropical fruit durian on public transport. Bringing the fruit, which tastes like heaven, smells like hell on a bus or train, carries a fine of up to $5,000.
Fuck.
This pride in public spaces means you are also not allowed to feed pigeons. This avoids population growth and reduces the amount of poop to clean. 2 men, a 62-year-old and a 68-year-old, were fined $400 and $1,500 respectively for breaking this law this year. Number 13, don't pee in the ocean in Portugal. Hot competition for the hardest law.
I mean, if you're doing it like that, if you're standing away from the ocean, obviously you're going to be able to tell, but what if you're in this, like, you're literally, like, it's like reaching your chest area. How are they going to tell if you're having a piss in the ocean? I mean, surely there's no way they could tell.
Law to
So, I mean,
enforce, it's not very polite to pee in a pool. But what about the ocean? Surely it's the definition of a victimless crime. But nonetheless, Portugal has recently outlawed it. That means any swimmers caught short will have to come out and find a bathroom. I don't envy the person who has to catch you doing this one. Number 12. Don't feed the pigeons in San Francisco. It may seem fun to feed the pigeons, but doing so in San Francisco can get you in trouble. It's illegal. The law is aimed to curb their population, as well as the health hazard presented by their poop. The authorities even have a hotline specifically for tips about illicit crumb droppers. Speaking of
What
tips,
the fuck?
in America, in general, gratuities are everything. The average waiter makes between $5 to $12 an hour, and they need any extra money they can get. So unlike Japan, this is one place you should definitely tip. You should also make sure to mind your P's and Q's, where politeness is the main order of the day. In certain states, they pride themselves on good manners as a way of life. Customs like Minnesota Nice, made famous by the film Fargo, are defined by polite friendliness, an aversion to confrontation, and a disinclination to make a fuss. So be nice, even if you don't mean it. And finally, cutting down a saguaro cactus in Arizona is a federal crime, even if it's on your property. Doing any damage to this majestic plant is punishable with 25 years in prison.
They must be so rare then. 25, even if it's on your property, mate. That is wild.
Which is comparable to the amount of time you do for an actual murder. This is because they take almost 200 years to fully mature. Almost as long as the United States has been in existence. And how would you like it if someone cut you down in your prime? Number 11. No camouflage in the Caribbean. The Caribbean islands, including Barbados, Jamaica, Grenada, Dominica, St. Lucia, and St. Vincent, have banned civilians from wearing camouflage patterns. That's right, they're policing what you wear. As in, this is literally what their police force wear. So if you want to avoid a fine or jail time for impersonating an officer, leave the camouflage at home. But how will they spot you? Huh? Number 10. No bikinis in Barcelona. When on holiday in Spain, you probably want nothing more than to...
I've actually been to Barcelona, but I didn't go to like the beach or whatever. Is it on the beach? It's not. Actually, is it? I don't even know.
Roll off of the beach after a long day of sunbathing and to go and have a few cervezas at a local taverna. But in Barcelona, you'll have to swing by your hotel to change your clothes because the city has banned people from wearing bikinis when not on the beach. The rule, which has been made to supposedly protect modesty, comes with a $650 on-the-spot fine. You may love your beach body, but you'll have to put it away unless you want to get into trouble. Number 9. Tight-fitting trunks only in France.
What?
Men going to the beach in France also have modesty concerns when it comes to swimwear. But rather being made to cover up, all men swimming in public have to instead wear tight-fitting swimming trunks.
What?
The law from 1903 relates to hygiene. The theory is you won't be wearing those budgie smugglers around town, so they are likely to be completely clean when you put them on for your dip. Number 8. Don't spend your pennies in Canada. Ever seen someone counting out pennies to pay for their entire week's shop at a grocery store? Not in Canada.
Is that a thing?
In fact, it's illegal to pay for something worth 25 cents or more using single-cent coins.
What?
The Currency Act of 1985 also renders your payment void if you pay for something worth $5 or more using 5-cent pieces, as this breaks the limitations of what is considered legal tender. Also, despite the similarities, it's generally not a good idea to compare Canadians to their American neighbors. Not only do they not like the association, Canadians pride themselves on making fun of their southern counterparts. Number 7. No tobacco in Bhutan. Smokers of the world would be wise to avoid Bhutan. The strictest narcotics laws in the entire world mean that the sale of tobacco is banned. Tobacco use has been outlawed since the supreme leader decreed it in 1729. But it wasn't until 2004 that the National Assembly of Bhutan banned the sale of tobacco nationwide. It's the first country to ever go smoke-free. Number 6.
I rate it.
Don't finish your plate in China. When eating in certain regions of China, it's okay if your eyes are bigger than your stomach. It's sometimes considered rude to eat everything on your plate, as it indicates you have not been fed adequately enough. Try to leave a little food behind to show your total fulfillment. On the subject of food, contrary to urban legend...
See, I always thought, if you leave a bit of food, people, like, restaurants would always just be like, I mean, I guess because it's a different country, like, I'm in the UK. But I always just thought if you eat all your food, it would just be seen as, like, a good thing to do, like, less food to waste and all that kind of stuff. Leaving a little bit on your plate is seen as, like... fulfillment. I can see the point of view, but that's crazy.
It's not customary to belch to show your satisfaction at the food. In the past, when food was scarce, showing you were full to the point of burping was a sign of the host's wealth, but those days are gone.
What the hell?
Why not instead try a thank you card? Number 5. Dress modestly in the Middle East. In certain parts of the Middle East, be careful how you dress. Modesty is key in places like Iran and Saudi Arabia. You should avoid wearing revealing clothes, and women should keep their heads covered. Also, drinking in certain countries, such as Jordan, should be kept to licensed bars unless you want a fine. In Saudi Arabia, Yemen, and Kuwait, it's entirely banned due to their strict religious laws. If visiting during Ramadan, you should be respectful. Muslims are not allowed to eat or drink during daylight hours during the holy month, so you should avoid eating in public. In some places, it's stricter than others. In the UAE, where laws are applied equally to Muslims and non-Muslims alike, eating, drinking, or encouraging it in public can land you with a 2,000 dirham fine or jail time.
Jeez.
Another thing you should note is that Valentine's Day is outlawed in Iran, as it represents a lot of aspects of decadent Western culture. But that hasn't stopped a lot of Iranians continuing to celebrate it anyway. True love always finds a way. Number 4, don't give even numbers of flowers in Russia. You can always say it with flowers, except in Russia, where bad math can cause an upset. When picking out a bouquet for a special event, try to get an odd number of flowers.
Wait,
even numbers
what?
of flowers are only given at funerals, while yellow flowers in general are associated with mourning. So try to avoid both unless you want to offend. Also, although it sounds weird, avoid smiling at people in Russia, and don't expect one to smile for a photo. Russians
can't be
only
true.
smile when they have a reason to, like when with a family member or during a special occasion. This can seem unfriendly, maybe downright unsettling, but at least you know. Say cheese!
That can't be true. If that's true, that is crazy.
Or don't. Number 3, no reincarnation in Tibet. Ever since the administration of Tibet was taken over by the People's Republic of China, they have enforced a very strange law. In the home of the Dalai Lama, it's illegal for people to be reincarnated without permission. The State Religious Affairs Bureau Order Number 5 was passed in 2007 in order to manage and control the reincarnation of living Buddhas. While over 1,000 people have since been reincarnated officially, the government has used this to invalidate the claims of countless who have died and come back without first getting approval. Number 2, don't hike naked in Switzerland. Intended to curb the growing enthusiasm of those who love being close to nature, Swiss authorities are allowed to fine people who hike naked. Lacking a law to counter public nudity, they
What
instead
the-
charge people based on their public indecency law. One man was fined 100 Swiss francs for walking past a family picnic in his birthday suit. And Switzerland has seen an influx of many more naked hikers in recent years. Common decency aside, surely there can't be anything less appealing than stripping down in the cold outdoors of the Alps. Number 1,
What the hell?
don't touch people's heads in Malaysia. Malaysia is the melting pot of Southeast Asia, a place where cultures, languages, and religions all mix together. Despite the variety, there are some general customs you will need to observe when there. Firstly, you should avoid touching people's heads, as it is considered the most sacred part of the body. Plus, it's also kind of patronizing. You should also avoid pointing, as this is considered poor manners, especially when done with your right hand. Old wives' tales imply that you shouldn't point at heavenly bodies like the moon in case your finger falls off.
What?
And even pointing at an animal may rile up its spirit and invite it to take revenge. Instead, why not try a Barack Obama point with your thumb, leaving your fingers tucked in? Pointing should only be used as a
how
direct
he points.
insult. Similarly, pounding your fist into your hand shows exasperation and can be taken as insulting too. So, when traveling around the world, you'll see many amazing sights, but you can easily offend if you're
It's
not wise
interesting.
to different
Very,
people's
very
cultures.
interesting.
Did you find out the hard way? Or do you know about
I'm
any
sure some of these aren't true, because some of these were ridiculous, but still, nevertheless, it's still an interesting topic and like video to see. What the fuck, you can smile in Russia, you're not under Nazi rule that bans smiling or anything, and you can expect people to smile for a photo. I was kind of thinking, like, surely that's not true. Don't use your left hand in India. Me being left-handed, I might joke to you. I can't stop laughing at the part when he said, the durian that tastes like heaven smells like hell. Don't use your left hand for anything. Me, left-handed. 116. Never use your left hand, bro. What if you're missing your right hand? You just can't ever use it. Like, what the hell? Don't shout or make a scene in Southeast Asia or anywhere really. That's what I'm thinking. Like, when you go to a new country, like, or a country that you're not from, just be respectful anyway. Not just in Southeast Asia, just any country you go to. I live in India and I use my left hand for almost everything. You can't smile in Russia. Me, what the fuck? Never use the left hand in India. People who use their left hand, bro. That one was funny, man. But I guess it's for, like, again, spiritual reasons and stuff. So obviously it is what it is. But interesting video again. I'm sure a lot of these weren't actually like 100% legit, but still the aspects and the ideas of these are just crazy themselves. But yeah, it's interesting seeing the difference in like countries, like through cultures, like the difference in cultures through countries, etc. It's just, yeah, I don't know. I really enjoy seeing this like side of the world, I guess you could say. But if you guys enjoyed this, let me know in the comments if you want to see more stuff like this. And yeah, until next time, like, subscribe, peace.